To remove and install the rear drive shaft on your RZR XP, follow these steps. Park the vehicle on a flat, level surface, ensure it is in park, and remove the key. Next, loosen the lug nuts while the vehicle is on the ground, but do not remove at this time. Then, safely elevate the vehicle. Reference your owner's manual for proper lifting techniques. Once safely elevated, remove the lug nuts and set aside. Then, remove the wheel and set aside. Next, remove and discard the cotter pin. Continue by removing and discarding the castle nut and cone washer. Next, remove and discard the brake caliper fasteners. Now, remove the brake caliper from the brake disc and support the brake caliper with a wire hanger, rope, or retention strap to avoid damaging the brake line. Then, remove the bolts, washers, and nuts from the upper and lower radius rods. Move the radius rods down and discard the nuts. Next, using a commercially available 2-jaw puller rated to at least 3 tons or similar, press the drive shaft out of the hub/bearing carrier assembly. Do not use a puller on the brake rotor to remove the drive shaft, and do not use heat to remove the drive shaft from the hub. Now, use a short, quick pull motion to remove the drive shaft from the transmission splines. If reusing the drive shaft, install a new circlip on the drive shaft. Then, inspect the drive shaft O-ring for wear, cracks, or other damage and replace if necessary. Next, put anti-seize compound on the transmission end splines of the drive shaft. Put anti-seize only on the transmission end splines. Do not put it on the hub end splines. Continue by inspecting the CV boots to ensure there are no cuts, wear, or damage, and replace if needed. If reusing the drive shaft, thoroughly clean the drive shaft splines and hub assembly splines with contact cleaner and a wire brush. Make sure to remove all Loctite residue. Now, reinstall the drive shaft in the transmission and push in firmly on the shaft until the compression ring is fully engaged. Apply Loctite 7649 on the hub assembly splines, allowing 90 seconds for the primer to dry. Warning: do not inhale Loctite primer. Follow all directions and safety precautions on the safety label. Then, put Loctite 680 on the hub end splines of the drive shaft. Put Loctite 680 around the entire circumference of the end of the hub side splines, and then apply it in a spiral pattern. Use caution to avoid putting Loctite on the drive shaft threads or castle nut. Continue by putting the drive shaft in the bearing carrier. Then, align the wheel hub assembly with the drive shaft splines and press in to seat it. Next, install the bolts, washers, and nuts for the upper and lower radius rods. Torque to specification. Then, install a new wheel hub cone washer and a new wheel hub castle nut. Torque to specification. Then, carefully slide the caliper assembly onto the brake disc, ensuring the brake rotor is between the two pads. Before continuing, ensure any items used to secure the brake calipers are removed from the wheel well. Next, install new brake caliper fasteners and torque to specification. Now, install new cotter pin, and if necessary, slightly tighten the wheel hub capsule nut to align the nut and the drive shaft holes. Bend the cotter pin in opposite directions. Next, reinstall the wheel on the vehicle and tighten the lug nuts until fully seated. Then, safely lower the vehicle until the tires begin to touch the ground and torque the lug nuts to specification in a crisscross pattern. Allow 24 hours for Loctite 680 to cure before vehicle use. Finally, lower the vehicle completely. For more information, see your authorized Polaris dealer or visit Polaris.com.